Welcome back to the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg, and if you're just joining us here for the very first time, welcome. If you are returning, you already know the drill. It's 2026, baby. This is going to be the first episode of the year. I will be 100% honest. I have been a little bit MIA. Travel, Christmas, a few other life events have been happening that unfortunately has meant I haven't necessarily been able to show up as well as I would like to in every aspect of my life. So I had to just prioritize what I could and just move through the motions and get through life. Now, I'll definitely do a bit of an episode updating some life events when I run the next solo episode. But as for today, if you're listening on Spotify, you can't see that we have a guest. But if you've read the title, then you'll realize we do. We have the one, the only, I'm going to attempt to say your full name.
God. Here we go.
And we'll see how this goes. Alexandra Ribeiro Carson.
Yeah, you're missing a middle name in there. So my full name is Alexandre Zaragoza Ribeiro Carson.
Our furniture just started floating.
Yeah.
I don't know
Harry
what
Potter
spells means. It's trying to fucking spit. But alas.
Yeah. Which I'm sure you'll ask me to give my background, and then when I tell them the country that I'm from, they'll be like, where's the correlation between that name and the country you're from?
Correct. We will rip in. We will get a bit of information about Carson. I call him Carson. It's pretty much how I know him and have known him for years. Mm-hmm. His actual name is Alex. So if anyone ever hears me talk about Carson, it's him. And if you couldn't pick it up, we're both wearing the same shirt. I cut the sleeves off mine. He doesn't. IQ Supplements. This is our company. I've spoken about it a couple of times on the potty so far. Nothing too in-depth, nothing too crazy. But we were actually planning to sit down today together, and we were going through and doing a bunch of business stuff and just some content planning, things like that. And he walked into the door and I was like, actually, what we're going to be doing is a podcast. I didn't tell you that, but here we go. Let's go upstairs and record. So I didn't just get Alex on because of IQ. It definitely has a correlation, but he's also got a pretty fucking cool story that I believe a lot of people should listen to and hear, because fortunately I've actually known Alex for quite a long time. We did live together for a period of time. I was, I guess, quote unquote, like your first coach.
Probably
technically second.
First one-on-one coach.
So I was the first one-to-one coach that Alex ever worked with. And I quite literally beat him. I'm not kidding.
Yep.
I would slap him on the pendulum because he wanted to train harder. But no, our relationship stemmed from me bullying the young new kid coming into the gym, him giving it back. And here we are, 4 years later?
Yeah, probably now 4 years later.
4 years later. We've lived together for 2 years.
Yeah, I think we lived together about 1.5 years, 2 years.
Yeah, about 18 months to 2 years, give or take. And then we own a company together now. So I'm going to hand it over to the man himself. He's going to give us a bit of a background info on him, let us know, what his history is. And then we're just the same as every other guest episode. We're just going to fucking let it roll. So let's go.
So I was originally born in Scotland, which when I just said my full name there, that does not correlate to being Scottish, but I'm half Portuguese as well. So my mum was born in Portugal. My dad was born in Scotland. I was raised in Scotland. And at 15 years old, we relocated to Australia. So before we did that, I was quite a sporty child. I played soccer essentially from when I started school all the way till 15 years old when we left. And we relocated here just because my dad got a job here. So the family all came over. And I just went into high school here all the way through to year 12. And I was someone that wasn't really interested in school. It just wasn't for me. I'm a type of person that just I love learning, but I don't like being told what to learn or forced to learn. I like to learn what I want to learn and at my own rate. So I wasn't really interested in high school. But I also wasn't someone that would go out on the weekends, anything like that. I was a gamer, so it would be, play games throughout the middle of the night, get no sleep, go to school, come home, sleep as soon as I go home from school, then game. And that was my life. And that caused some really unhealthy habits through food. And essentially I got really sick. So at around year 11, just going into year 12, it was the summer holidays and I just started losing weight, literally kilos by the week. And that went on for about 3 months. And I think I probably went from about, 70 kilos, just your usual weight for a 18-year-old, to 48 kilos. And I was nothing but skin and bone. And then after 3 months of just being really unhealthy and just being your typical dude of refusing to go to the doctor, I finally was like, I have to, feel like I'm dying. So we went to the GP, they sent me to the emergency room. And then from there, I ended up going to see a gastroenterologist. They did always say their tests, and I found out that I had Crohn's disease. So luckily enough, so that was roughly around the summertime, and then starting year 12, which already just didn't start year 12 on a good note. So I was trying to study, but already was I not interested. Now I had this. And then, luckily enough, I'm one of the people with Crohn's that responds really well to medication. So essentially within a month of being on the medication, it was as if it was gone, which is extremely lucky. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't respond that well. And so I'm very grateful for that. And that was kind of essentially the start of my fitness goal. I was still light, I went from 48 to maybe 54 kilos within that regaining my health period. And then I just looked in the mirror one day and was like, you need to go to the gym. So it started with my home gym, just in my dad's apartment. And then I went to Good Life Robina. And I trained the classic, the everyone's starting stone, a Good Life. And then I was there literally for about a couple of months when I went to the UK and just on holidays to see my family, came back, and I was really getting into bodybuilding, which was odd. I don't know where that came from, because obviously, yes, I was in the gym, but this was like a few months into the gym, which most people don't develop into what route they want to go. And I got into gym equipment. So I searched up the best brands and literally searched what gyms on the Gold Coast have Atlantis prime equipment. And that's when I stumbled across Nexus, and that's where I met you. And that was essentially the start. So I would have been about 18, 19 years old, just finished high school. And then I did a little bit of coaching there before, I started paying you to hit me, essentially.
I laugh at it because it's like, anybody listening to this is like, what the fuck? Yeah. But there is videos. I will have to find them somewhere. No, that's a fucking, it's a pretty good in-depth rundown. And we'll continue on because the journey definitely hasn't stopped there. But one of the things that obviously you spoke about is Crohn's, and you were very, very fortunate with relation to responding well to the medication and things like that. Throughout that journey, because I know probably a little bit more about the depths of it all from just things that you've told me and whatnot as well. How did you find juggling at such a young age, like at 17, 18 years of age, like as men, boys, we're coming into like our years. We're coming into the good life.
Yeah.
How did you find that played a role in like all of your day-to-day? I know you said that you pretty much just sat at home and gamed and all the rest of it. Do you feel like that had an implication as to why? Or do you reckon it was cause and effect, or was it just...
Yeah, so when you go down the medical route, they will tell you that there is no definitive cause. Other than genetics, it's chance, essentially, which I agree with, but I do disagree, because looking at what my health was beforehand, my diet was beforehand, it was unhealthy. I was I grew up, my parents weren't, so it's odd that I became, but I was extremely fussy eater. Extremely fussy.
Nepotism.
Yeah. So I essentially
Researching gym equipment and a fussy eater. We're ticking some boxes here.
But I essentially lived off of Krispy Kreme donuts and like the Coles packaged chicken schnitzels breaded that you just chuck in the oven for 20 minutes and they're good to go. And that was essentially my diet.
I'm going to interject there. When Carson first moved in with me, 2 separate occasions. First, before he moved in, he came to Melbourne with us on a trip when we went down to Pro Raw. All the boys went out for breakfast. We're all ordering bacon, eggs, breakfast burgers, etc., etc. This bloke at like 7 a.m. in the fucking morning orders a chicken palmy and chips. And then when we're living together, I woke up one morning. It's like 6:30, 7 a.m. I'm starting work, ready to go. And I'm like, messaging. I'm like, dude, are you cooking pizza right now? And bro's whipping up the McCain's ham and pineapple pizzas, which don't get me wrong, I was known to punish a few of those back in the day.
I learned it from somewhere.
Big boy Josh loved a fucking McCain's ham and pineapple pizza. Just putting it out there. They are 1,500 calories. It's like 70 grams of protein, 100 and something grams of carbs, and only like 20 or 30 grams of fat. So it's actually quite low in comparison to the rest of it. But they were fucking amazing. Anyways, I have them for dinner. Bro's out here having it for breakfast.
Yeah.
Not once, but like multiple times. So continue on.
Yeah, so I honestly, like that sort of lifestyle and the gaming, I think was essentially the cause. And I put it down to diet just because it is a gastrointestinal issue. And but to your question, I actually think being an introvert made it a lot easier because obviously, you know, with inflammatory bowel disease, one of the main things on your mind constantly when you are in a flare up is where is the toilet? Because in my worst, I was going to the toilet 30 times a day. So being an introvert inside gaming all day, I felt safe. There's no like going out with friends. I didn't do anything like that. So there was no being worried about being judged by my friends or by being in a scenario where it's going to go wrong because I wasn't in those situations, which I think it's one of those things, that lifestyle, being that sort of introvert, I don't think is great. But in the scenario that I was in with Crohn's disease, I think I was lucky in that scenario that I was able to just be inside all day.
Didn't actually take away from your life.
Yeah, exactly. It was just, yes, it was
sucked.
It sucked, but yeah, it didn't take away anything from my life because everything I was doing was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I remember like when Alex started working with me, I know we make jokes and say, you know, I used to beat him and all the rest of it, but it was truly from a perspective of like, I saw this young kid, he was coming in all the time. Now, I could tell he was a little bit shy, a little bit withdrawn, and at the time, we were like really driving hard the community that we'd created at Nexus. And I think we were doing a really good job of that. And Alex started to become quite a pivotal member of that community. He was there regularly training with the boys. Now, wasn't the biggest dude in the world, but we could see that there was this young kid who wanted to come in and try his best. But he would always wear tracksuit pants every fucking day. It could be 35 degrees outside, bullshit hot, and bro had tracksuit pants on. And it finally got to the point where I wanted to make some lighthearted jokes to him because I wanted him to feel comfortable enough to like come and chat to us and stuff like that. And we were starting to joke about it all and all the rest of it. And then it got to the point where I was like, all right, dude, let's train legs because you're training upper body pretty hard. You're starting to train really hard. You're starting to train really well. You're making some progressions. Let's jump in. Let's train legs. Let's do a couple of sessions together. And then we ended up doing a stint for about 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. Like 4 weeks.
I think it was a month.
About a month where we're doing 2 sessions a week, every single week. And they were both leg days. He's like, oh, I want to do one leg, one upper. And I was like, no. Both of these days are going to be leg days. And the reason for that is I just want you to actually train them and also train hard. Show you a little bit more about what training intensity actually is. Give you a little bit more of a perspective. Like you already train hard enough on the upper body. So let's hit the lower body the same. I'm not a bodybuilding coach. I can train people for hypertrophy. I can help people put on muscle. I know the ins and outs of fucking body composition changes and all the rest of it. I'm not a bodybuilding coach. So once we got through that period and Alex really started to take a fucking huge interest in bodybuilding and that scope, he discussed about finding options with a specific bodybuilding coach, which I was all for. I thought it was actually a great idea. I think having somebody else come in at that point in time was the best option for him to actually be able to take his training to the next level. And I'm sure like we'll get into it now, but the progression I saw this kid make, I made a joke before about the TISM. I would have to say that everybody who pursues bodybuilding, powerlifting, coaching, anything like that has to have a touch of the TISM, because for one, bodybuilding is boring as fuck. It is the same shit repeated week in, week out, day in, day out. 7 days a week, you're eating the same or very similar foods. You're fucking training the same exercises for weeks, if not months on end. Just pushing the progression slowly. And people have to be able to find some form of internal drive or some form of internal motivation that allows them to actually be able to do that. And I saw Alex come into his own when that was the case. And he fucking took it and he ran. So give us a little bit of an insight into your first 12 months, like bodybuilding.
Yeah. Well, it did start with you and your coaching, because you, like you said, as much as you were a strength coach, mainly more in the powerlifting scene, you knew the differences between the two sports. So when I started coaching with you, it was hypertrophy. We didn't do really any like barbell squat work because I didn't want that at the time. I wanted more machine work, and you made my program work. So those 4 weeks, I'd argue, were the fundamental building blocks of everything that's come after that. And yeah, like the attitude you gave towards me in terms of the tough love approach won't work for everyone, but what I needed, and obviously continued while I lived with you, but that I was the type of person that, yeah, like needed it. Being grown, being raised, well, not raised, but being an introvert, I was a bit of a wuss, honestly. So I needed to be toughened up by someone, and it was you. And I'm extremely actually grateful for that. But after the 4 weeks with you, luckily enough, we obviously had a bodybuilder in the gym. We had Ollie. And he instantly was the first person I thought of, just through, at that point in time, I was not educated at all on really anything, nutrition, training still. I still knew nothing. But I knew off word of mouth and off people and off what he was spoke that he knew. So he was instantly the person that I went to and have been with ever since. And the next 12 months were just, yeah, as you said, just rinse and repeat day in, day out. Those 12 months probably were the actual 12 months that I was living with you and a little bit after. So it really, within those first 12 months, was learning to train properly, which he picked up from you, as in we carried that on. And it was just, learn to train properly and learn to just, if you really want to bodybuild, learning to rinse and repeat every day, exactly as you said.
Yeah.
Nutrition for me was a piece of education I did learn later on. Majority of the time that I spent living with you a few years back was, as you said, not ideal. But, I was at that stage of training where this was essentially still within the first year. What we want is to just train hard and learn to train properly. That's the main thing. So it was essentially just 12 months. 12 months of that was just make sure I was going to the gym every day, eating in a surplus, and just putting on tissue.
Yeah.
There was 12 months of that.
Yeah. And within that, it was like, I've seen a massive change in the way in which Alex eats now. But I remember like the first big win was you adding like green beans or some shit to your lunches. Cause I was always like, mind you, when we lived together, I did tell him the right nutrition stuff. I was like, you need to add veg. He's like, I don't like veg. It's like, you need to add veg. Like, trust me, you're going to need to add veg, fruit, etc. Like, I don't care if you just find random fucking veg that you do like. And then it got to the point where I think you found green beans and...
Green beans, it's the bird's eye, green beans, peas, and broccoli.
Yes, that's the one. All greens. And I remember that was it. That was the only veg in any of his meals every single day. But that was a stark contrast and a massive improvement from where it had been. So I was like, whatever, run with that. And then the next thing was mixed berries. I swear it was you added mixed berries into the mix next as like a breakfast thing.
Yeah, I did smoothies for a bit of time.
Yes. Yeah.
Smoothies, yeah.
Alex also bought a juicer at one point that we both used once, and then it sat in the cupboard and we never used it again.
I still have it. Still never been used.
And it was an expensive juicer.
Yeah.
He comes home. We were both so stoked.
Yeah.
We were like, fuck yeah, we're on, boys. This is our season. And we used it once and we were like, yeah, this is a cunt to clean. I'm never using it again.
I was like, no, I'm not cleaning this every time I use it.
But it really, like, I think this highlights one key thing, right? And when he was mentioning about the tough love, don't get me wrong, I don't give that same approach or treatment to every single person who comes and works with me. I like to think I'm pretty diverse and I can give any client whatever they need depending upon the individual and how they come to me and who they are and how they show up. I saw something in Alex and I knew where there was a time to push and when there was also a time to teach. And both of those, as he said, amalgamated to him actually being able to learn and progress through from me into like more specific, more bodybuilding style of training, which at the end of the day is just hypertrophy. It's the same shit, rinse and repeat. But having a better long-term approach and like starting to plan his very first competition from way back in that time has allowed him to then continue to progress and work towards that over the journey. Now, having the right environment around you, and we've spoken about this before on the podcast, is so fucking critical. Like having people around you who can push you, who can motivate you, who can tell you when you're doing a good job, but can also tell you when you're fucking up and tell you to pull your head in a little bit. That is where the difference lies between people who make progression, who get their goals, who chase the shit they want to do, and people who don't, and people who stay stuck. And like we've seen it with people that we know, and like I'm sure you've seen it with just in general. I've seen it with a lot of people that I know, people I've worked with, etc. At the end of the day, as coaches, we can give you, like I will give all of the tools, all of the tips, all of the tricks, everything that you need to succeed. The ball's then in their court, your court, to actually do something with it. It's not enough to just be like, here's a program, have a fucking good day. It's like you have to go and put effort and intensity into that. And that is something that I saw Alex do day in, day out. I was coming home every morning from my walk and he'd be sitting there on his little bike out the back, doing his cardio, keeping on top of his blood pressure, keeping on top of all of his health metrics, starting to really track and hone in on his food. He was eating the same shit every single day, 7 days a week, just really taking strides in the right direction. And I mean, you've continued that through all the way now. And I know you've learned a lot since then, and you're continuing to learn and grow and, mentor with good people. What is it like? What is your next plan? Like, where is bodybuilding taking you? What are you planning to do with it?
Yeah, so the goal is obviously, well, I'm in prep now for April for the IFBB shows, and honestly, the goal has shifted. The goal was to
actually quickly. I'm going to interject.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
One of the best things I've ever seen in my life was Mr. Alex when we had the goals board at Nexus. And he would have been about 55, 60 kilos dripping wet, writes, IFBB Pro.
Yeah.
That was great, but continue.
Yeah, no, so that was my original goal. And it's most bodybuilders that compete in the IFBB's goal right at the start of their career is to get this piece of cardboard that everyone wants, which is the IFBB Pro card.
Plus the Instagram handle.
The Instagram handle, yep. They put it in your bio.
That comes as a byproduct.
Yep. And that's your now main marketing thing and coaching, and that still is the goal. I don't tell many people, but the goal isn't to get the pro card to say I'm an IFBB pro. My goal with bodybuilding, honestly, is to get as big as possible, and is to put as much muscle on my frame as I can. That is actually my goal. But the reason the pro card, and I have the timeline by 35, just because I think most bodybuilders, they're done by 35, 40. There's a few that keep going, but 35 to 40. So that's my goal. But the goal for the pro card is honestly because there was one day, which you'll remember, where I was talking about this goal to you in the old house, and you turned to me and said, "You will never be a pro."
I did say that.
You did.
Yeah.
You said as I was standing on the stairs.
I sound like a bit of a cunt in this one.
No, you will never be a pro. And honestly, now that's kind of my main driving force for the pro card.
Is me.
Yeah, I've got
Still to this
I
day.
envision the speech they make you do when you do it. It'll be looking into the camera, or hopefully you in the crowd, and flipping you off. And it'll be, I did it, and that'll be life complete.
The best part about that is he has told me that from day dot, that the reason that is his goal is quite literally to just be able to say fuck you to me. So if I'm a driving factor for someone for nearly what, that'd be like, by that point it'd be nearly 18 years or something. If I'm a driving factor for someone for 18 years, that's a good fucking coach.
Yeah. But no, that's the long-term goal. But like, as you said, that's 15 years down the line. So the goal.
What category are you competing in?
This round. So when I compete this round, and likely 2027, it'll be classic. Just because classic juniors, I'll do juniors, true novice this round. By 2027, it'll be juniors again, and then I might do some more classes in terms of, maybe novice, maybe opens. Just depends how we're looking. But after that, I'm hoping that I've now put on enough tissue that I'm getting close to being above my weight cap for classic. So it's now time to go to bodybuilding, which is what I want. Because at the end of the day, the goal is just to put as much muscle tissue on as effectively as possible. And
at 5'5", like, you're going to be quite wide as well.
5'8.5". But yeah, no, that is honestly the goal, is just to be as big as possible. And it's going to take a long time to get there, but I feel like I'm on a good track, because from when I started at 48 kilos, I've probably put on, so that would have been 3-4 years ago. Since I started getting coached by you a good 3 years ago, we're probably looking at 30 kilos of tissue if my stage weight is what we think it'll be. So
it's not a fucking small feat.
No, not a lot. And that's with essentially, 2 of those years being with zero nutrition. So hopefully, with everything being locked in now, that rate of gain can continue for the next few years at least. If not pick up a little bit. So
you're still at such a young age that, like, you've still got so much growth ahead of you, obviously.
Absolutely.
And I might take the piss and be like, you're short, which you are. It doesn't matter, because generally shorter people are able to fill out their frames a little bit easier. Now, we're not going to go into the semantics around that, because some cunts will fucking carry on, complain about it. But it's going to be, like, it'll be really good to obviously be able to see you compete, and it will be good to see the progression that has been made. I've already seen a massive amount of progression from when you started to now. It's always nice to know that I helped inspire that a little bit, even if I'm still inspiring you to purely just out of spite.
Of course, yeah.
But I do really fucking love, and I've liked this from the start, and I've told you this before, is like, your approach has always been long-term. Like, it's never been one of those overnight things. And I know a lot of people, when they first start in the gym and they start that first little bit of rate of gain, and they're like, newbie gains are cranking, and they're like, fuck yeah, I can continue this forever. And then as soon as that subsides, they're like, oh, fuck this, I can't be bothered anymore. Whereas you've always had that long-term approach, knowing full well that, like, hey, what I'm doing right now is not for this week. It's not for next week. It's for like 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. It's a proper long-term thinking, a long-term approach to basically achieving things that technically you don't even know what the next 15 years is going to hold in store.
Of course.
But if you have the overarching theme of, like, constantly just showing up and constantly being a little bit better in training, with your nutrition, with your health, with the rest of it, like, only good things can come as a byproduct. And that's definitely something I wish more people understood. I always say that this is a long-term game. Training, nutrition, whatever your goals are, it's fucking long-term. These 6-week challenges, 8-week challenges, 12-week challenges, whatever, they're great to help you build and establish routines. They're great to try and get a little bit of consistency. But what really matters is not that 8 to 12 week period. It's what you do after it. It's what happens when no one else is looking. It's what happens when you continue on that journey for yourself. Now, whether you are intrinsically motivated or extrinsically motivated, whether you had someone bully you to the point where you just want to prove them wrong and that's your driving factor, or you have enough internal drive, which you have to have at some point to be able to just continue when no one's looking and continue to do the shit that no one wants to do. That's where it really matters. And that was why when Alex did hit me up about IQ, it had been something I'd thought about for a while with relation to like trying to branch out from just coaching and the like in terms of business, but I didn't really know what, where, who with, when. I wanted to work with somebody else because coaching is great. I fucking love it, but you are a very solo person unless you have a team working underneath you. Whereas like working within a team can be quite fun. It can be motivating. It can be all the good things that you really want from it. And so when Alex hit me up, I remember he just sent me a message. He was like, oh, what are your thoughts about starting a supplement company? And I think my first reply was like, yeah, let's do it. And that was it. Like then we just, back and forward, and you can grab one of the tubs down from behind you if you want. We went back and forward for quite a bit of time, just sort of like piecing it together. What did it look like? What did we want it to? What difference did we want to make? Because every second person seems to have a supplement company, and we didn't want to just be another supplement company that sits on the shelf. We wanted to be something different. And from the start, our goal has always been to provide the best quality product that we possibly can to those who understand it. Our product is not for everybody. It could definitely be taken by everybody, but for the most part, people won't truly understand, what a good product is, because half the time they go into a Supps store and they just get the one that has the highest amount of caffeine or stimulants, or is the cheapest, which generally also has the highest amount of caffeine and stimulants, but it just leaves you feeling like fucking shit afterwards. And then they paint every pre-workout with the same brush. One of the first things I said to him when we sat down was, I have trialed and seen so many fucking pre-workouts come through. If we're going to do this, and if we're going to start a supplement company, we need to be different. We need to be better. And not better in the sense of like we're better than other people, but we just need to provide a better quality product at the best price we possibly can to still be competitive within the market, but one that we can back up and vouch for. And if someone was to question, any of the things that are in this product, I could sit there and go to bat every single day of the week, because I stand by the product. I stand by exactly what's in this, the composition, the breakdown, the way in which they all the ingredients work synergistically together, the dosing, and that's come forward in our feedback. The repeat customers coming through. Now, we're not the biggest supplement company in the world, probably might not ever be. But for those people who have bought it so far, I mean, you could say this as well, like the fucking feedback has been incredible. I want you to give us a bit of an insight, because I've spoken about it before, about like where my head was at, and obviously just gave a little bit of a rundown then. But what was your driving factor behind wanting to start IQ? Like, what was it that caused you to reach out to me?
It's honestly not too complicated. So it started with, there was a pre-workout I was always taking, simply because formula was good, taste was great. And then there was one day that it wasn't in stock. So I was like, sweet, I'll head down to Nutrition Warehouse and I'll buy one. So I went down, bought one, took it home. The next time I went to train, tried it. It tasted like garbage. Like I couldn't mix it with 500 mils of water, couldn't drink the whole thing. And that one was based off taste. Then I literally had one scoop, never used it again, went to Nutrition Warehouse, bought another one. And then that one tasted all right, but in terms of actually looking for performance, just wasn't what I was looking for. So then I left that one and then I bought a third one. So this was in the span of a week. I bought 3 pre-workouts, and the third one, again, tasted horrid. Now, obviously, I told you I was always very fussy with my foods, so taste is also something that's big for me. And after the third one, I essentially said, nah, I'm done, making my own. And that's when I reached out to you, and we built it from there. It was just my headspace was, I want to create one of the best products I can, and it not just be good for performance, it tastes amazing.
Yep.
Because I take pleasure in taste as well. You know, like
that was something we fucking nailed the brief on.
Absolutely. It was
quality product. The feedback on the quality, amazing.
Yeah.
The feedback on taste, amazing.
Yeah. Because we're realistic. We know that we want to also hit different target audiences. Not everyone cares about having the most stacked pre-workout. They just want something before they train to give them the little boost. So that's why we also wanted to nail taste, because we wanted something that if you're not, you know, die hard into the gym, you just want a little energy boost essentially, then you're going to have something that you're going to look forward to taking when you're going to train.
Yeah.
Essentially. So, and I think that we nailed both of them.
Yeah, 100%. And that was the thing, is like, when we went through the whole testing process and we went back and forward, like, we were very particular. We had, I think one of our flavors had 3 trials,
4.
And then the other one had, so the watermelon had 4, grape had 2 or 3. There was like 2, there was iterations of them all. But we were just essentially going back to the blenders that we used, and we were like, no, needs to be more this. We want, like, we are very specific about what we want. We were having friends trial it. We were trialing it with more water, less water, full scoops, half scoops, morning sessions, arvo sessions. Like, there was a lot of trial and, I guess, testing that we were doing before we were actually happy to put our name to it. Because, as you can imagine, starting a sub company isn't easy and it isn't cheap. And when you factor in things like minimum order quantities, plus tubs, plus labeling, plus everything it actually costs to set up a company and all the rest of it, from insurance to everything, it's a bit of a process. So when we were like, okay, we're going to put our names to this, it had to be something we both believed in. And like, we fucked around with that formula quite a lot. There was a lot of going back and forth. There was a lot of checking against legislation. There was a lot of everything going into that. And I think it was our 3rd blending company that we finally, that they were able to put it together for us with the ingredients we wanted at the quantities we wanted, and that we were happy with. So we've put a lot of like time, effort, and energy into this, and a lot of investment into it. And it's been really cool. It's been a slow burn. Would have loved to have sold quicker. But I think one of the biggest things that I've learned, especially like, you know, specifically for myself, is coaching is a service-based industry. So I am selling a service. People come to me because they want a particular service. When people buy a pre-workout, it is a product. Anybody can buy this product at any time, day or night. I've had friends of mine who are coaches who've given it to all of their clients, and all of their clients have bought it, versus, you know, you can't really go to another coach and be like, hey, do all of your clients want to get coached by me? That doesn't really work very well. You're probably going to get blocked or fucking end up on some, like, I don't know, canceled on TikTok or some shit nowadays. But that was kind of the interesting thing for me, was actually being able to see that like differentiation. And my whole background, as anyone who's listened to this podcast before would know, is in supplements. Like, that was where I was at before I actually became a PT. I was a sales manager for a company. And so my whole history and background was Supps. And that's why when Alex brought it to me, I was like, yes, perfect. I love it, but we need to do better. We need to be better. And there seems to be, like, I've seen with the rise of TikTok and Instagram and all the rest of it over the last few years, like, people just want to get, they get cranked the fuck out on pre-workout. And I was like, I don't want that.
Yeah. Which is difficult, because that is how the market and how social media has portrayed it should be.
Yes, which is wrong.
Yes, essentially, like, I'm sure if you go to any young lifter in the gym, predominantly males, and ask them what's the best pre-workout they've ever had, I guarantee you they're just going to list the one that they found with the most amount of caffeine. And I think that that's one thing that through IQ we'll try to fix. That's one thing that we also like to strive for, is education. Not just, this is a product, buy it. This is a product, here's why you should buy it.
Yes.
I think that's big for me, is now educating people to actually sort of change the narrative on what supplements should be versus how they're being portrayed currently.
Correct. And I think that that's one of our biggest differentiation, like our different aspects, factors, etc., with our marketing.
Yep.
Now, a lot of the marketing that we see from a lot of the really famous brands is exactly that. It's high intensity, hardcore, fucking dry scooping, all the rest of it, right? We've gone the other route where we do have one of our segments is raise your IQ.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to understand not just what a pre-workout is, but why you take one, when to take one, why you shouldn't take one if that's maybe not the best option for you, what other aspects need to be considered to ensure that you're actually making the most of it, because we can give you a great product, but if nothing else is ticked, right, and I've spoken about this before, and anybody who knows anything about anything is supplements are supplementary. They are something that you add on top when things are already good. If your training shit, your nutrition shit, your sleep is shit, your recovery shit, this pre-workout, it's not going to help you. You might feel good for an hour, but it's not going to give you the best benefit. The people who reap the rewards of a pre-workout or any form of like supplement are those who are already ticking the boxes in all the other aspects of their lives. So this is never a Band-Aid solution. It's always something that should be complementary on top, which is why I know with our expansion goals and products we want to bring in, it's always us talking about like, okay, cool, but what problem does this solve for somebody? Because it could be very easy for us to dive and go pre-workouts, pump formula, protein, tick the same boxes that every other company is doing. But our goal is to provide a solution for people. It's not to do what everyone else is doing. It is to provide a solution to a problem. Sometimes these people don't know that they have the problem. So that's why a few of the products that we've got in development at the moment and discussions we're having are catered towards a larger group of people, not just people within the gym, but people in everyday life, athletes, field sport athletes, hybrid athletes, like all the rest of it. We want to be able to create a line of supplements that can benefit everyone. And there's something for everyone within it. So it'd be cool. It's exciting.
Definitely.
It's a lot of work, but if you're listening to this and you don't already, go and follow our Instagram to keep up to date. We are getting better with posting. We've been more consistent this year already. So, yeah, I think that probably wraps it up pretty nicely.
Yeah. No.
Have you got what's next? What's next for Mr. Carson?
Nothing. Just now following in your footsteps in terms of getting into the coaching scene.
Sick.
Getting out of hospitality into the coaching scene, and just helping people, driving through physique goals, strength goals, and then from the supplement side of it, how can we build a healthier population of, like you said, lifters, athletes. That's the goal. A healthier individual is going to grow better and perform better.
Correct.
So let's create products that people are going to become healthier from taking.
Fuck yeah.
Essentially.
3 questions I ask every guest.
Yep.
You've heard the potty, so I know you know these. First thing, what would you tell your younger self? If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I'm very happy with the path that I'm currently on. So everything that's happened for a reason, and I want him to go through the same thing.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. What's your favorite animal? You can say Samuel.
Nah, it probably would be dogs.
Samuel's asleep on the floor
Probably
right now.
would be dogs. That being said, cats were at the bottom of my list, and they're probably number 2. Probably number 2. And the only reason I say that they're up there,
gym equipment, monotony, cats.
Yeah. Now the reason I say cats though is like, well, as you know with Sammy, it's like having a child. And the reason I like cats is you own one, feed it, happy days. Like if you've got a busy lifestyle, then
they're self-sufficient.
But the bond you build with a dog is unmatched. So,
isn't that right, my boy?
Yeah, I'd go with dogs.
And last but not least, what does strength mean to you?
That's a difficult one. There's lots of different contexts, but if I was to just sum it up, I'd say strength means to me, I would just say the ability to lead. Mm-hmm. Because you can take that into your strength training. You can take that into mental strength. It's the ability to lead and to take ownership of yourself.
Lead yourself and others.
Yeah, lead yourself, lead others. But I would say more just lead yourself, because the environment that you put yourself in and situations that you put yourself in, they're going to be the ones that help you grow. Mm-hmm. And I believe that with growth comes strength.
Fuck yeah. I love it. I love it. So, for those of you who've tuned in, thank you very much for being here. As I said, this is season 2, episode 1. I got a few fucking pretty cool guests coming on over the next couple of weeks. There's some big things happening with moving and all the rest of it, mm-hmm. which I will definitely be doing an update potty on and releasing that one over the next couple of weeks. But for those at home, how can they find you?
On Instagram, I believe I should know. I think it's just Alex Carson, then an underscore. That's my Instagram. But if you just hop on the IQ Supplements Instagram page, you'll be able to find me on there too.
Gang, thank you very much for tuning in. I will catch you on the next one. Have a fucking beautiful day.